On the Big Apple, the stage is set for New York City's mayoral race. Democratic mayoral primary winner Eric Adams will now face off against Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa. This in the contest to become the city's next leader. Curtis Sliwa joining us live now. Curtis, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us right now. Obviously, things have progressed. You know you'll be facing Eric Adams in the general election. How do you feel about that? There were a vast field of candidates for that Democratic nomination. Now it's Eric Adams. Your reaction?
Well, the biggest problem was the Board of Elections. They can't even count their toes and fingers. They finally got a final tally on the ranked choice voting for mayor of the city of New York in the Democratic primary. So I know it's Eric Adams, and I've already been campaigning 24/7, 365. I go into neighborhoods where the only Republican that people have seen in New York City is Abraham Lincoln on a $5 bill, because people have accepted me for 42 years as leader of the Guardian Angels fighting crime, creating safe streets, safe subways, safe parks, and safe schools for them. So it's time we get it on, and we're in a city now, in a state, where President Joe Biden just allowed the city and state to use COVID-19 money to hire additional police officers. Both our mayor and our governor rejected that, and I didn't hear any comment from so-called law and order candidate Eric Adams, who should have been condemning both of them for not accepting that money and hiring cops right away, because as you know, it takes at least 3 months to recruit and train an academy class in order to get them out into the streets and actually make up for some early retirements and people who are normally scheduled for retirement. So we're way behind the curve of where we need to be.
In terms of policing, obviously, we know that the police was defunded $1 billion last year during the Black Lives Matter movement by Mayor Bill de Blasio. We've seen crime spike in major cities, specifically there in New York City. We've seen shootings in Times Square, even as of recent, making people weary about even visiting the city. So needless to say, crime is the top issue. And I know, Curtis, that you've read the articles. A lot of them say Republicans have no shot to win this. It's all but certain that it will be Adams' apple, if you will. I mean, the slogans are out there. How do you feel about that? Do you actually feel, though, you have a chance to beat Eric?
Oh, there's no doubt, because I'm not just running as a Republican. I'm running on the independent party line. And the last Republican mayor was Michael Bloomberg. He spent millions of his personal fortune to purchase that independent party line. I went out the good old-fashioned way and with volunteers got enough signatures to qualify that line ballot. So that means people who would never vote for a Republican, and that included my parents, who are no longer here. They were not Reagan Democrats, they were not Giuliani Democrats. They'll feel comfortable in voting for me on the independent party line. And there are a number of issues, for instance, that Eric Adams refuses to give commentary about. How about critical race theory that they want to impose upon our children in the public school system? I say no to that. I haven't heard Eric Adams comment on that, and a whole number of other subjects. And the most important issue is that protection for our police officers through qualified immunity has been stripped from them. That means any man or woman who puts on a bulletproof vest, goes out and risks their life to defend us, if they take a physical action or do any kind of intervention within the course of their 8-hour shift, they could be personally sued now. They have to go out and try to shop around for police malpractice insurance. That's something that former police officer Eric Adams was a champion of. So even if you do what I want to do, which is refund the police by $1 billion, hire 3,000 additional cops, police are going to continue to be reactive if they think every time they risk their life and limb for us physically, they might be personally sued and bankrupted as a result. We can hold Eric Adams responsible for that. So I'm going to sort of shine the light on this candidate, Eric Adams, who now says he's law and order, but has consistently been opposed to law and order and, more importantly, supporting the police.
All right, we'll continue to follow this campaign very closely there. Curtis Sliwa in the runnings. Curtis, good to see you. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Oh, just go to CurtisSliwaforMayor.com. You can learn more about my campaign, and I welcome the support. Thank you.
You got it. And to the cats, by the way. Best of them as well.
Oh, yeah. That's right. My 16 rescue cats in a 328-square-foot apartment. Elon Musk now lives in a 350-square-foot apartment. He's following my lead.
Hey, they're sharing space. You're sharing space with them. All right, Curtis, I'll check in with you a bit. Thanks so much. That was Curtis Sliwa. He joined me earlier this morning. Sliwa is the Republican candidate for mayor of New York City. He's going to be running against Democrat and former NYPD Captain Eric Adams. Joining us to talk about this is former Republican Senator of New York, Alfonse D'Amato. Senator, good morning to you. Thanks so much for coming on. You just heard from Sliwa there. What is your reaction to what that Republican candidate had to say?
He's a big mouth. He really is campaigning for himself and his image. He has no chance of winning, and he'd be a rather poor spokesperson for the Republican Party. I'm a Republican. I almost always support Republicans, but in this case, I thought Eric Adams was the right choice in the Democratic primary. He stands for bringing the Democratic Party back to normality. And as a matter of fact, Adams went on to say, if the Democratic Party fails to recognize what we did here in New York, they're going to have a problem in the midterm elections. And indeed, it was Adams and Garcia who combined, if you combine their total at the end, it was over 65% of the vote. It was the moderate wing of the Republican Party that says, wake up, left. We need to provide safety in our neighborhoods, in our parks, in our subways. We need to revitalize the police, provide protection, etc. He's the kind of representative, forget about political parties, that we need. He's not someone who is trying to just make a name for himself. Sliwa knows he has no chance, and so he'll keep up his right-wing rhetoric. I think Adams can and will be, hopefully, a good, solid mayor, working to bring New York back and make it a safe community. You can't have businesses thriving. You can't have people living in fear. And that's what's going on in New York right now.
I agree with you. A lot of fear in New York City. But I've got to ask you, if Curtis Sliwa wasn't the guy, then where were the Republicans? There were Republicans that ran this city before. It's not unheard of. Why was it Sliwa? In your case, you feel it could have been someone else?
Well, I'm just saying that I will not support Curtis Sliwa. He is a big mouth who operates for his own aggrandizement. And that's what he's all about. He's not about working for the people. He started out many years ago with his group, and they did some good work. We even hosted him at my mom's house, etc. But as I watched him, he becomes more about Sliwa himself, and we're going to do. And it's a lot of nonsense, a lot of rhetoric, nothing behind it.
Well, the voters will decide, and they will continue to campaign. And Senator, I appreciate you sharing your thoughts on the program. Former Senator Alfonse D'Amato, good to see you, sir. Thank you.
Good being with you.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.